Today I'm going to be pruning in the garden and doing just a few tidying up jobs before autumn. Today's Pots and Trowels has been brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and Darlac. Well, we're having some glorious weather at the moment for the middle of September. It's lovely, isn't it? Warm and sunny, and hopefully it'll carry on for a few more weeks just yet. I'm a great believer though, when you're wandering around the garden, you always need to look at your plants and get to know them, and if they need a bit of tidying up, then do it straight and often. Do it little and often rather than letting things get too big and having to cut them back. And this is a good example. This is a euphorbia that we looked at earlier in the summer. It's one of the sort of shrubby spreading euphorbias. It doesn't die back, it's not herbaceous. It's grown for its lovely foliage, but it also has flowers on there earlier in the year. Now, when we looked at it, I was doing a little bit of work on it, but I left the seed pods on there, and they've now finished and dropped off and are starting to look a little bit tatty. So I've always got my trusty secateurs in my back pocket. So what I want to do now, just to tidy this up and getting it ready to go into autumn, is to cut off these old flowering heads here. And it's simply just a case of getting the secateurs in and cutting them down to the branch just below it. So it's just a case of snipping it off. Now, I've mentioned this before. Remember, all euphorbias have this white sticky sap in there which can irritate some people's skin. So if you are allergic to it or it brings you out in a rash, then wear gloves. My hands are that tough, it doesn't seem to bother them. So all I'm going to do literally is just go round and snip these off. So by the time I've done it all, it will look so much better as a result of this tidy up. But it then means that these shoots that we've got here, these lovely new shoots that are growing, these will be the shoots that flower next year for us. So it tidies it up and it just gives it that little bit of a helping hand for next year. So I'll come back and do that. But other things we can do at this time of the year, any herbaceous perennials that have going over slightly or the seed heads on them that you don't want, they can be trimmed down. You can also continue to deadhead roses, of course, because roses are enjoying this lovely weather and putting on a late flush of blooms, so they can be given a tidy up. And otherwise, look at shrubs, things like this evergreen here. This is a euonymus emerald gaiety, lovely evergreen shrub, all year round interest. I don't think it's planted enough, but you know, in certain aspects it's really good for giving colour in the winter, and I love it for this variegated foliage here. It really is nice, and in the winter when it's cold, it takes on a bit of a pinkish tinge as well, so it does change. But as you can see here, it's got a green shoot growing in it, and this is just the green euonymus here, and this has got more vigour than the variegated shoot. So if we leave this in, after a year or two, it will take over this bush. So what we need to do is to trace this back down into the bush where it grew from, and then I'm just going to snip it out. So it's just a case of following it back down. I can see there is a variegated stem on it, so I'm going to cut back down to there and just snip that off, so that variegated shoot will carry on growing and we can get rid of that. And there's a couple on there that I will take out and just to keep it growing as it should be, so that can be snipped and put either through a shredder or got rid of. But then trees can also be looked at, and over here I've got my little stand of birch. This is Betula jackmontii, and it's a lovely one. It's grown for its really white stems. I just love the bark on these. They are really, really attractive, and that's what we grow it for. The foliage is nice, but just nice in the winter, and even on a day like this when the sun's shining, this is just starting to peel, as you can see. You can't resist peeling that off. That's as the tree gets thicker, it splits and you get this peeling off, and you get this lovely sort of pinkish tinge on there. I love it. Now what I want is maximum white bark on this, so I'm going to leave these side trunks in here, but I want to expose them a little bit more. Now these are just a bit too thick to cut with my secateurs, and this is a good time to do it because we should never prune birch in the spring because they bleed. So I've got here a pair of loppers, which are ideal for the job. These are really good, and you can cut quite thick stems with these, and these are good also because if you've got anything higher up, you can extend them so you can reach quite high. But I don't need them to be long for this, I just need them nice and short. And what I'm going to do is just take off these little side branches here like that, So we'll take that one there. Sorry, Jill, almost knocked your head off with that. And that one there. And then I'm going to take this one off just round the back. And what that's doing now is just opening up this stem here, and we can see more of that lovely, lovely white bark. I'll probably save those branches I've cut off, let the leaves come off them, and they'll be used as pea sticks next year. So they're handy. So Molly, you keep guard of those, because I've got one more thing to prune on the front. So I'm just going to pop over there and let you have a look at it. And the last thing I want to show you is this. This is a bay that we're training. It's going to be a globe on a stick, basically. It's quite a young plant, and anything that's like this, or if you've got any box or any topiary, now's a good time just to give them a last tidy up before the winter. We try to do it ideally before the end of September. That gives the wounds time to heal over before winter, and then they'll keep that shape right the way through until they start to grow again next spring. Bay is remarkably tough anyway. It will stand a lot of frost, but we don't want to be pruning it in the middle of the winter. So as you can see, it's losing its shape a little bit. It's got a bit of a head there, but we want eventually to make it into a lovely big globe on there. So all I'm going to do for now to tidy it up is just trim off some of these long shoots back to a bud. So it's important where we can to always prune to a bud, so that then will grow to make the new shoot. And I'm just going to go round it, just snipping off these long shoots round there, just to give it a little bit of a tidy up, so that it gives it a bit more of a shape, really. It looks round instead of a really tatty plant. And if you're not sure, just stand back, have a little look. That's pretty much, I think, all it needs off now. So that's giving it a bit of a better shape. Any yellow leaves we can take off. Once they go yellow like that, they're never going to go back to green again. So just a bit of a tidy up and get it ready for the winter. So there's plenty to be getting on with, little bits of pruning all around the garden that you can be doing at this time of the year. Well, thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and as always, thank you for all your support, your likes and your shares. Next time I'm going to be doing a little bit of late seed sowing, so we'll see you then. Bye.